Say your prayers, Andross. Don't get too cocky, Star Fox.
Let's see how you handle our new ships.
Too bad Dad's not here to see you fail. We'll make sure you never reach Andross. We'll just see about that, Star Wolf. You guys don't give up.
Hello everyone and welcome back to Let's Play Star Fox 64. In the last we finished off the unique levels of Path 3, and now we're on to the true final stage, Harder Venom. And it starts off with a dogfight rather than a true level. Against, I'm not sure exactly what the term is for this version of Star Wolf 2 or something. Either way, they're buffed. They have new ships that actively have shields. So they'll bounce off lasers to start, but I believe a charge shot will take it down momentarily so you can then just hammer into them with normal lasers. They have higher defenses, and I think they might do more damage, and they're definitely better at tracking you and your allies down. With that said, as long as you stay focused on someone who's focusing on one of your allies, you can take them down still relatively quickly. They're also a lot more want to either do the somersaults and U-turns, as well as do their own barrel rolls to bounce off your shots. So they're a little more dangerous here, to say the least. Normally, I believe somewhere in the game's files, there's data for the R-Wings to also get the shields that these versions of the Wolfen have, which are the name for the Star Wolf ships. But I believe it was either meant for multiplayer or it's just, I guess, testing, because I don't think it actively really does anything when you have it. It's still a dogfight in this game at the end of the day, so as long as you're being the correct amount of aggressive, it doesn't take too long. Just be careful you don't take either too much damage here or lose a wing, because losing that before the final boss can be troublesome. With that said, I believe if you die to the final boss after this fight, you're taken to after this fight. Just be careful you don't get a game over. Mind you, with my 12 lives, unlikely to say the least. There's not really much to get here in terms of health restoratives either. I think maybe just one of the Wolfen can drop it every now and then. At this point, though, it's just time for me to hunt down, I think Andrew's the last one left. Androikany. Yeah. Figures the lamest member of Star Wolf would be the last one I take out, huh? Admittedly, I'm more partial to the cast of Star Wolf they have in the later games where they replace, at least Andrew. I think they replace Pigma as well. Like, I like Leon. That guy's kick-ass. I like his music. And I like Panther. Outside of the one Star Fox Command ending, which we won't talk about here. Honestly, I find it's honestly harder to take down the last member of Star Wolf than either of the three members before him, because usually they're tracking onto someone else. Either the last member tracks onto you, or is being so dodgy that actively tracking them down can be annoying. With that said, enough patience and this fight should go down eventually. It's not super hard, unless you come here with less than every ally, in which case there's probably going to be two people on one, so that means they'll go down all the more quickly. At that point, this can be hard.
I'll go it alone from here. Fuck!
Fox, now's not the time to be a hero. Let's not go alone.
I've been waiting for you, Star Fox.
And I've been waiting for you. I like this final stage. It's time to end it.
You know that I control the galaxy.
As said during Path 1, not really, at least not yet.
It's foolish to come against me.
Pretty good self-confidence. I think I'll handle this pretty well.
Now you will feel true pain.
Sure thing. So unlike Venom 1, where it was just a straightforward path to Andross, here we have a bit of a maze that has multiple left and right paths that have 12 different endpoints. I'm going, I think it's left, right, right. Something like that to get the most power-ups along the way, namely health rings to increase my total health, as well as a good restore of power bombs, a laser restore, and another health restore, I believe. There's some that only have gold rings, some that only have power bombs, some that have no items, so just do what I did and you'll probably get the most out of it. With that said, Phase 1 of Andross here is identical to Andross on the bad ending path. Shoot the eyeballs, then shoot his palms until they explode, in which case, you just have to take down the head on its own. Doesn't get any new attacks in this phase from memory, it's just the same thing. And you know what? I'm kind of glad of that, because if they gave him a completely new first phase for this final boss, I would have been a little bit annoyed, because it would probably be a better first phase than this first phase. Alright, he can punch. I seldom see him do that, because I think I usually take out the right hand first for some reason. The big difference to this fight comes into play once we take out the hands, because once we start just completely aiming at his face to damage him, things go a little bit of a different route than the robot head.
Only I have the brains to rule my land.
So, Andross, you show your true form.
Ew. Brain Andross is the true final boss of the game. This fight's also technically split into two phases in its all-range mode fashion. Down there on the map, we see where the B is. That's where the boss usually is, and it is here. But that's just where the brain is. What we need to take out first are the two white dots representing the eyeballs, as long as they're up, not only is there electricity beam between connecting them to the brain, something that can hurt you, but the main brain itself is, by and large, invincible. This is the only fight you can never bring any allies into, barring the other Andross fight, and because of that, you actually don't have a good indicator of how much health he has. With that said, the eyes, I think, try to home in on you. You can just shoot them in the back and they'll go down relatively quickly. It's phase 2 trying to damage the brain where this fight can be a little annoying, because you need to aim for, I believe it's called the hippocampus, the little softer, smaller section of the brain on the back of it, because that's where it actively takes damage, so you need to get behind it somehow. Not helping things is that starting in phase 2, the brain starts to teleport every now and then while trying to run into you, and getting that can be a little bit annoying. Additionally, when it runs into you, it doesn't just do normal damage. You get tangled in the mess of, I guess, nerve endings or tentacles beneath it, and that does a lot of damage to your arm and can easily destroy a wing or two after like 2 hits, so be careful with that. The biggest problem with this fight, I feel, is that because it's trying to run into you and you need to try and get behind it, actively damaging the fight can be annoying. Using a power bomb here can be helpful, but don't spam them, because I believe there's some amount of invincibility frames and a maximum amount of damage he can take before he'll actively just teleport away and you have to find him again. And be careful how sharply you corner, because you might end up just getting right into his tentacles. I've done that on several occasions. I think you even do it here at least once. Also not helping things is that, honestly, navigating this room's a little confusing, because compared to most all-range mode things, there's no actual landmarks for where you are compared to the boss fight, or where the boss fight is compared to you outside of using the map, because the background here is just a texture. There's no, say, tower in the middle that you can find yourself looking for, or something like that. It's just basically an empty area. Because of that, finding your way around to the boss fight and seeing your depth perception can be a little rough.
If I go down, I'm taking you with me.
Don't ever give up, my son.
Father?
Follow me, Fox.
And now we have an escape sequence where we need to follow our father. With that said, you can still easily die here. I think I've done it at least once or twice. If you take too long.
This way, Fox.
If you take too long, you can easily lose James in the thread of passageways that is this maze on the way out. But as long as you liberally use the boost button,
never give up. Trust your instincts.
Maybe just press it for a second for a small boost of speed to keep up with him. You should keep up with him pretty easily. It's not a hard section, but it can surprise you if you're not used to this amount of admittedly stress, because that fire feels like it is right behind you. I think if you take a wrong turn, it's just an instant game over too, which doesn't really help things.
You've become so strong, Fox.
Star Leader. What's wrong, Fox?
Nothing. Nothing's wrong.
That's Venom 2, though, and the entirety of Path 3, as well as the end of the game. Venom 2 is basically just 2 boss fights with a small level section between them. The level section isn't too bad, and the boss fights can be annoying at worst. They're nothing too hard, and that's also the end of the game. Star Fox 64 is a great space shooter. With that said, I'm torn on how the mission structure's handled, as well. I like the idea that your actions in a mission actually matter to the path you take. I also would rather just have, like, the Star Fox 1 / assault method, where it's just a linear path of levels that maybe has different difficulties that take you through different levels, because I feel like there's less at stake there in terms of actually messing up in a mission. A mess up is just death, not you're going the wrong way and you might not get the good ending because of that. Most of the levels in this game, though, are really fun to play, barring maybe the Landmaster stages, Zone S, and maybe 1 or 2 others. And I absolutely adore a lot of this game's atmosphere. I love its soundtrack. It's still fun to play. With that said, I'm not exactly as beholden to it as a lot of other people are, partially because I didn't grow up with it. As I believe I've mentioned before, growing up, the Star Fox I had was the first Star Fox, and I didn't have 64. So I skipped straight to Adventures. And because of that, I'm admittedly one of the group that actually kind of defends parts of Adventures, not other parts, because that game has a lot of problems. And then I just went straight to Assault, and I completely skipped Command as well, at least at the time. So I just don't have the attachment to this that a lot of other people do. I think it's still a super solid game, and if you can manage to find a copy of the 3DS version, I can really recommend it, because they smooth out some of the control problems in that, as well as completely redubbed the game. Although you also miss some of the bad voice acting from the 90s version here, because some of those deliveries aren't great, but they are at least funny. But I can't deny that this game isn't good, because it is. It is really, really solid. Some really fun levels.
Star Fox, we are in your debt. I would be honored to have you as part of the Cornerian...
Oh, no, sir. We prefer doing things our own way.
Great Fox is ready to go.
It's time for us to go now.
With that said, easily my favorite song in the game is this credits theme. I know I've said that there's a lot of other songs I really enjoy, but there's something about this version of the Star Fox theme that just really hits home. With that said, admittedly, there's also parts of this ending theme that remind me of Ocarina of Time, not just because it's the same sound font, but the actual ending of the credits song almost ends the exact same way, and I find that hilarious. With that said, if you want to play that, play this. Virtual consoles are kind of going by the wayside nowadays, though I do believe this is coming to the Nintendo Switch Online N64 expansion, albeit I personally think that's a bit overpriced, because, what is it, $30 extra a year for that, the Genesis games, and the Animal Crossing DLC you can buy separately so that you don't have to cancel your subscription and then lose out the DLC. Not exactly the greatest deal, but at least there's a way for you to play it, I guess. Personally, I would recommend just tracking down the 3DS version if you can, because even though the original printing sold through most of its shipments, so it's hard to find the original one, the greatest hits version is still out there, and that's pretty solid. I'd say if you like space shooters, this game is worth at least a single try. I really like it. I like Assault better, despite some of its other problems. Same with... no, I can't say I like Adventures more, but I definitely have more of a connection to it, I guess is the way I want to phrase it. That credits theme ends the exact same way as the Ocarina of Time one. You cannot convince me it doesn't. And since we got the true ending, no laughing Andross at us this time. And we're once again given the opportunity to enter our score. Another song I really like, by the way, is the name entry screen. They only plays here, but I really like this song. It's nice and peaceful. It reminds me of the ending theme from Metroid Fusion a little bit. That plays when you get your end time and percentage. Although it's on screen for about as long, too. But with that, I'm going to end this off here. Thank you guys for watching. Have a great night. Take care. And I'll see you guys next Let's Play, whatever that may be. See you guys then.
This is one steep bill, but it's worth it.